Okay, hope everyone can see my screen. Fine. So in the last session we discussed about what is a Oracle applications all about. Oh, sorry, what is Oracle Fusion applications. We discussed Oracle acquired many other ERP products, and based on those ERP products, by taking the best solutions, they implemented application called as Fusion applications. And we discussed about what is on-premise. Okay, what are the benefits and what are the disadvantages we discussed. In the same we discussed about cloud, what is the cloud and how it works, and within the cloud what are the different models we have, that also we discussed in the last session. Apart from that, there are many other points also we discussed. Okay, that's how we,
LAXMAN, my question.
yeah,
LAXMAN.
please.
Hello. I'm saying, is there any dependent of the bandwidth speed from Fusion?
Sorry,
Because I have seen in the past that hello.
is there
What is the
any?
impact of bandwidth on using hello? Impact of using bandwidth on Fusion application, because I've seen that in the typical areas in Delhi or some connectivity issues are there. Because when you usually click on application, the system is
Say
taking
simply,
some time to
it's
respond.
very general. What is the bandwidth you need for Gmail? That bandwidth is enough. Okay, you can just connect through your mobile now. No Java plugins, etc. I used to connect from my iPhone sometimes. Okay, that's how it works. So basic bandwidth is enough. What bandwidth you need for Gmail, that much lighter side this Fusion can be connected, it will be functioning, because since it's a cloud. If you have internet connectivity, think there is your instance. That's it. So the connectivity related issues you don't experience now. Okay, it's if you just click, it's immediate response you can see, because you are not going to deploy your server in somewhere physical location. Your virtual server will be residing as internet as source. That's the reason you don't have any issues. The user experience will be very rich. Okay, we'll see those points also. Anyway, we'll come across now. Fine. This is what I just taken these points for today class as agenda. Okay, we'll talk about Fusion enterprise structure, and what are the roles we have in the Fusion applications. Everything can be, the security model can be managed with the roles only in Fusion. And when you talk about users, how, what are the different type of users we have in Fusion applications, what is the purpose, how to manage those users. These will talk on these 3 points for today. Okay, so the entire classes I'll be taking by comparing with EBS of R12. Whatever I talked before that, I'll talk about EBS, so that will be better understanding for the participants, since most of the people have the same background. So fine. Here when you talk about R12 we call as multi-org. Okay, the Fusion, the same we are calling as enterprise structure. Just terms are different, but concept is remains same almost. Okay, so in R12 we are calling as multi-org structure. Okay, here we are calling as enterprise structure. We know very well, just it's all about what are the enterprise data we are classifying, and that we are managing a structure in a very hierarchical manner to implement the greater very granular level of security at each and every enterprise unit level, as well as different levels with the profile options and the respective. Here when you look at multi-org structure in EBS, how it works first, we'll be having the business group, right? We have a concept called as business group, BZ. Under business group, okay, under business group you can see primary ledger, PL, primary ledger. Under primary ledger you can have a legal entity, LE. Under legal entity you can have operating unit, OU. And under operating unit you have inventory organization. This is we know very well, since we have been working on this for past years and years. Sorry, IO. Okay, done. This is all about multi-org structure. So on top you have a business group. Sorry. Under business group you have a primary ledger, under primary ledger, legal entity under legal entity, operating entity under operating entity, inventory organization. Let's look at what is the enterprise structure as per Fusion applications. So the Fusion application, the top level will have a enterprise unit called as enterprise. Under enterprise, you can have a divisions. Under divisions, you can have a primary ledger. Under primary ledger, we'll have a legal entities. Under legal entities, you can have business units. Under business units, you'll have a inventory organization, or you can call as distribution centers also you can represent. I'll talk about it. Under distribution centers, you can have a inventory organization. Okay, this is the actual structure when you look at Fusion enterprise structure. We know very well all about these. We know very well about these. So we don't want to talk about it. Now we'll see. So in EBS, we can create a number of business groups. You may create business group for each and every country separately, since the country payroll and salary requirement will be totally different country to country. So to segregate and to manage the employees information and respect to jobs or roles information, which need to be managed with the HRMS applications and all will be mapped at BU level. When you talk about Fusion applications, okay, enterprise. So this enterprise is not at all equal to business group. The reason is, for one instance, you can create only one enterprise. But in EBS, in one instance, you can create multiple business groups. Each group you may refer, it will be referring.
Your voice has a problem.
My voice has a problem. I can hear a lot of noise from your end.
Your voice has a problem.
The same with everyone.
No, his voice is breaking.
Voice is breaking. One second. So how do you find now? Still same or any change you can see? Anyone please? Can you hear me properly now, or still you can find there's some issue?
It's okay now.
Voice is clear. We have
Okay, great. Thanks.
Just hold good.
Okay. Fine, good. Fine, now we'll just get into this. Okay. So as per EBS, we can create a number of business groups, where each business group you can just create for a specific country. But when I talk about Fusion applications, okay, here we cannot create multiple enterprises. We can create only one enterprise. So for one instance, we can create only one enterprise. This generally enterprise you can take as a group. Group company name will be providing as enterprise. Yeah, please. Yeah, please. There is a lot of noise.
Can you give some practical?
There is a lot of noise.
What is the definition for enterprise?
There is a lot of noise I can hear from your side, and sometimes your voice is breaking. Yeah, please. Who is speaking?
Still your voice is breaking.
Yeah, your voice is not clear, LAXMAN.
Okay. Just give me 1 second.
It's breaking.
1 second.
I think your internet speed is low.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Now,
Yes, clear.
do you find some improvement? Okay, great. Just I switched to
Yes, of course.
another network. Okay, maybe as you said, there is some issue with whatever I was connected. Fine, great. Okay, let's get into this discussion. Okay, the first point we are trying to understand the difference between release 12 multi-org structure and enterprise structure, what we see in the Fusion application. So this is a multi-org structure we have as per EBS. When you look at Fusion enterprise structure, these are the organization units you can find as a part of enterprise structure. So in EBS, we can create multiple business groups, but in Fusion, we cannot create. We can create only one enterprise. Anyway, the enterprise is not equal to business group. Okay, so under one enterprise, okay, we can have only one enterprise. That's nothing but we have to understand the group company representation. And if you are going to do the implementation for say 10 countries, By using hello.
Lakshman, can you share in the example what is the BG and what is the enterprise? As per my understanding, business group is nothing but a reliance group.
I'll come to that point. Please wait for some time if you don't mind. You'll understand everything. Okay, I'm trying to explain the same point, right? Just I'm in the very beginning. I just didn't cross some points. Okay, I will get to know that. That's my target first of all. Okay, so business group means just where we can manage the employees related information as per EBS. For each country, you can have a separate business group. But when you talk about enterprise and fusion applications, enterprise is nothing but group company. Group company, for one instance, you can have one enterprise. If you are going to manage your HR solutions for say for 10 countries, how you can manage when you can create only one enterprise? In that case, what we can do is equal to business groups. Whatever we have business groups in EBS, equal to that in the fusion we have a legislative data groups. We have a concept called as legislative data groups, which can be used in the fusion applications to manage specific country related, employee related information and mapping. That means in fusion, whatever we have legislative data groups, those are equal to business groups, but enterprise will be standing more than the top of that level. So just it's a group company. So enterprise level, however, you set some controls. And when you in the EBS, will be setting some controls and job and position, all the structures you'll be selecting, and employee number generation, all you'll be setting. The same way you'll be setting at enterprise level that you can override at legislative data groups level, where legislative data groups are specific to country specific. Legislative data groups will be creating, even in EBS also business groups will be creating country specific. The same way here business group, whatever you have in EBS, that is equal to legislative data group in fusion applications. So enterprise is more than that business group, which will be representing the entire group of the company, which can be created only one in one instance. Okay, that's all about enterprise and legislative data group. Okay, so the other point is divisions. What is the meaning of division? When you look at EBS solution also, we can have a divisions, but as a part of chart of accounts. You can create the chart of accounts and you can manage the divisions if company want to track the transaction division specific. Okay, division specific you can manage in that way. So but in fusion also you can maintain the division as a part of chart of accounts. I can hear some noise. I'm just requesting, please don't unmute your mic. See, I don't know who is doing this. Still I can hear some noise, please. Yep, now it's done. Thanks. Okay, if you have some question, yes, you can do that. Otherwise, if you have some question, you can just please you can unmute and you can ask. Otherwise, just please make sure that you are not unmuting. With the noise will come, and again other side we are recording the session, so please. Fine. In case of EBS, we can have a division as a segment. The same way we can have division as a segment in our chart of accounts when you are implementing the solution through fusion. So apart from that, Oracle given division as a part of enterprise structure. How it works? So take simple example. You are running the business in the you are doing the different businesses. You are doing the different businesses, or you are doing the business across the globe. You may just have a division, some say something APAC or EMEA, and different geographies you can take as a division as a part of your enterprise structure. Some geographies you can take as a divisions, or else if you are running the different line of businesses, each line of business you can take as a one division. That's how you can use, where that information can be tracked, the business information, the transactions and all belongs to which division or which legal entity and which primary ledger. Anyway, primary ledger, legal entities and divisions we can track if that is there as a part of chart of accounts. More than that, for entire global solution also you'll be able to track each and everything. You can generate the reporting division level also if you are going to have division as a one of the enterprise unit. And primary ledger, it's remain as same as a primary ledger when you compare with EBS. And legal entity same, the same operating unit. Here in fusion we are calling as business units. Okay, the process wise everything same, the functionality and process wise same, but when you are doing the setups, they simplified how that configuration can be done for business units. But simple as of now, you can take the point operating units. Here we are calling as business units, simply just we call as BUs. So it's that is OU, this is a BU. And distribution centers. We don't have any distribution center concept in EBS, but here we have distribution center. Say for example, you have one business unit and you have an inventory. So to support, say, because this business unit got some requirement where we have to ship some material and all, and we will be having the material in the inventory, and there could be some environment to you can create in the system, some object you can create in the system like distribution center. Distribution center will take the responsibility of distributing the material to the customer. So this is what you can just create, but in the system point of view, when you are creating the inventory only, that you can flag it as a it is going to act as a distribution center or inventory organization. There is no separate definition required. Whatever inventory you create, that just you can mark it as a whether it is going to act as a distribution center or inventory organization, just to track the sales or what are the distribution related activities you are doing that is passing through which distribution center. Just for tracking purpose only you can use. When you look at this entire enterprise structure, these divisions and distribution centers are not at all mandatory. Frankly speaking, I didn't see in any implementation where some client is using with the take the benefit out of that. Okay, so these two are optional. Divisions and distribution centers are optional. The finally, almost when you look at fusion enterprise structure also, you can see more or less equal to EBS multi-org only. Okay, so this is how generally normally you can find when you're working. So I didn't see any some client who used this divisions or distribution centers for their implementation. Now only the point here almost same, but here in the place of here we have business groups. Here we are calling as enterprise, but equal to business group we have a legislative data group within the enterprise which can be mapped for specific country. So this is all about enterprise structure to understand. For that same, I just have one the one screenshot snapshot I given here. You can just have a look on this. So this is the enterprise structure, how it looks. So see here, enterprise, it's all about some country. I mean, sorry, some group company. The specific entity, some group company you can take as enterprise. Within that divisions you can use to represent where you are operating the business. Okay, where you are operating, some geography classifications you can take as a separate divisions, or else other classification, what business you are doing, what are the different vertical of businesses you are doing. Each vertical of business you can take as separate division. And when you talk about primary ledger, it remains same as a primary ledger, and legal entities as legal entities, and business units. Okay, the business units again, shared service units and all, where data can be shared, that we'll see when you get into the application. Just here simple point you can take the business units and distribution centers. So distribution center means here for the purpose of distributing the material, just for additional tracking purpose only. Here we have anyway inventories as inventories. So this is the enterprise structure. If you have any questions on this, please you can ask me, we'll discuss on that. Any questions?
Yeah.
Can you have multiple distribution centers for one ledger, one legal entity?
Legal entity.
Can you have
distribution centers are not specific to legal entities. It's all you'll be mapping with the business units. Okay.
Got it. Okay. So you can have multiple, right, at a given time?
Yes, you can have. You can have.
One question is there. If we are operating our items from one business unit, so
one point before you ask this question, let me tell you this very simple point. It's very simple. You have one business unit and your inventory is mapped with that business unit. When business unit is mapped, that inventory is mapped with that. When we are doing that inventory related transactions which are associated with the business related activities, that is processing through which distribution center just we want to track. Apart from that, there is no functionality behind the distribution center other than tracking. It's happening through which distribution center. That's it. There is no great functionality which you can see there. Just tracking. Based on that, we may generate reports which distribution center is involved in the respective inventory related transaction related activity. Now you can ask me your question.
Fine, no issue.
Yeah. Any other questions on this enterprise structure? Fine. If no question, like I'll just move on to this next concept called as fusion roles. Okay. Fine. So this fusion roles nothing but it's simply, instead of calling roles, I call it as fusion security. Okay. Fusion security model. Generally, the term we use fusion security purpose we call as fusion security concept we call as role-based access control. RBAC. We call it as RBAC, role-based access control. Even in EBS also we have role-based access control, but that is limited to specific applications or very specific functions that can be managed in the web application related functionalities. But now in the Fusion, the entire application will be running on web-based ADF pages only. There is no form related form objects in the Fusion application. That's the reason they completely came up with the role-based access concept. The Fusion security model only we call as just role-based access. So to talk about it, here we have to understand few points. First, before we get into the Fusion understanding, we'll talk about release 12. Few points. I don't take much time. Just I want to give some comparison between these two. So to talk about release 12, what we have a concept called as menus, right? We have a concept called as menu. Within the menus, you can have a submenus. Within the submenus, we'll have a functions. Okay, we'll have a menu. Within menu, you can have a submenus, and within submenu, we'll have a function. And if I want to have access to menu, what I have to do? Anyone can answer to this simple question? I need access to payables. I want to work on payables. What I have to do? I want to work on payables menu. I need access to payables menu. How can I get payables menu access? Anyone can answer. It's a very simple thing. In EBS,
Send that menu to the responsibility.
Yeah, responsibility. Why responsibility is required? Why responsibility is required? Why responsibility is required? Without responsibility, there is no such some logic in the system to connect to the menu. If you want to access to any menu, you have to you can access to the menu only with the help of responsibility concept. Of course, within the responsibility, you can give the privileges like where the data has to be stored. The menu related data has to be stored. That is nothing but data group. And in the same way, that from that responsibility, user need access to which reports or programs that you can set up by using the request group also. That is also there. But now we are not focusing on those 2 points: reports and data group name, etc. We are talking about menu. In EBS, if you want to access to specific menu or submenu, that is possible through only responsibility, right? Fine, I'll create one responsibility called as AP super user responsibility. I created AP super user responsibility. Now can I use this responsibility to record the invoice and payments? Anyone please? Can I use this AP responsibility? I created AP responsibility. Can I use directly?
No.
Then what we have to do?
No, we have to assign this responsibility to user by using that profile options.
No, I'm sorry. Not to user and all. We'll assign primary ledger and operating net to responsibility, AP responsibility. Then when you access this AP, then finally that responsibility will assign to user. Correct. We'll assign that responsibility. To which responsibility we already assigned primary ledger and operating net, that will assign to user. This is how the logic will work. Now from that user, if you access to the responsibility, whatever the primary ledger and operating net got assigned, with that reference you'll be able to record the transaction. This is how it works in the EBS case, right? So that means without responsibility you cannot access to any menu or submenu or function. Okay, so this is very clear for us. Now if this is very clear for us, you can understand very easily how this kind of similar concepts will work in the Fusion. Now just let me give you a simple point. In Fusion application, basically we have 4 type of roles. 4 type of roles we have in Fusion applications. Okay, the 4 type of roles are: the first one is a job role, the second one is duty role, third one is data role, and fourth one is abstract role. Okay, abstract role. What is the menu for payables? We have API Navigate GUI 1.2. In the same way for GL, APR, for all the applications, for each application, Oracle is providing the seeded menu. So in the same way, however, in EBS, Oracle is providing the seeded menus. In the same way, in Fusion, Oracle is providing the seeded job roles. The job role is equal to EBS menu. It's very simple. Okay. Vipin is saying he cannot hear anything. I suggest him to rejoin. Let me just pass that message. Please rejoin. Yeah. Okay. In EBS, we have a menu concept. The same menu concept in Fusion is equal to job role. Okay. When you take example in payables, you have a menu name called as a AP Navigate GUI, which has access to complete payables functionality. Equal to that, in Fusion applications, you see the job role called as payables manager. The payables manager job role is equal to AP Navigate GUI menu, which we have in EBS. That means the job role is equal to menu. Fusion job role is equal to menu. Now when you take example, same example for AP menu name is AP Navigate GUI 1.2. And when you look at submenus, we have many submenus. We have supplier submenu, we have invoice submenu, we have payment submenu. Okay, I am taking example called as submenu. One of the submenu name is invoices. Okay, invoices I am taking as a submenu. So EBS submenu is equal to duty role in the Fusion. The duty role in the Fusion, which we see, that is equal to submenu. Submenu done. Okay, the payables job role is equal to Fusion job role is equal to EBS menu. The Fusion duty role is equal to submenu. Here we are calling as menu submenu. Here we are calling as job role and duty role. That's all. It's very simple. Now fine, done. Now we'll create the AP super user. Okay, we'll create responsibility to access. Here we have functions. Even within the duty role, what are the privileges we'll be having, those we call as functions or privileges only. Okay, for that we don't want to discuss any point. Those are just direct functions which we can access by opening some form and all. Okay, those are something like features or for pages which we open, privileges. Fine. Here in EBS we'll create the responsibility. To responsibility we'll assign primary ledger and operating net, right? So we'll assign primary ledger and operating net to responsibility. So the combination means here we have a combination. We have a responsibility and we have a primary ledger and operating net. So equal to this, okay, equal to where this is equal to data role. In the Fusion, data role is equal to EBS of responsibility, primary ledger and OU. If it is only that responsibility related to GL, then in that case responsibility plus primary ledger, that combination is equal. Okay, data role in Fusion, what you see, the data role, that is equal to responsibility plus primary ledger and operating net. When you compare with the AP and when you compare with the GL, only responsibility plus primary ledger, because GL is not standing at OU level as per enterprise structure or multi-org structure. That is the reason. I'll take simple example here. The payables here, job role, I am taking one of the example of job role, say payables manager. Payables manager is job role, and duty role I can say invoice creation. Invoice creation is duty role. When you talk about data role, I'll say data role is equal to responsible primary ledger and operating as per EBS, but within the Fusion how you see. So you'll take data role is equal to, you'll take that job role, payables manager plus payables manager means payables. When you say payables, there should be mapping with the primary ledger and business unit. This combination we call as data role. That means, so you'll get access to payables manager related all the responsibilities, all the activities what payables manager is required, privileges to when payables manager is doing his job, and when they are recording the transactions to support that kind of primary objects of data, date and kind of currency, which are part of the components part of primary ledger, the data as well as again the transactions belongs to which business unit need to be captured. So this primary ledger and BUs, especially we call as data related objects. These are specific, right? Specific data, specific primary ledger, specific business unit. So this is a payables manager. Here we discuss the payables manager is nothing but job role. That means to job role, if you are going to assign primary ledger and business unit, once you assign the primary ledger and business unit to your job role, that combination you call as data role. And job roles are seeded, what Oracle is providing. Duty roles are seeded, Oracle is providing, but data roles will be created by system once you create primary ledger and operating net. When you create the primary ledger, system will create the data role automatically for general ledger application. When you create the operating net, system will create the data roles automatically for all the sub-ledger applications, which sub-ledger's application will be standing at BU level or OU level. As per Fusion we call as BU, so BU level. That's how it works. And when I talk about abstract role, it's a very common role which we use especially for SCM applications. For our understanding, simply you can take employee role we call as abstract role, employee or line manager. What are the classifications we have in the for as a part of HCM solution, those we call as abstract role. Abstract role are not specific to particular application. Those are just common objects which will create, which can be used across the different applications, but the source would be HCM, okay, to create the employees. Okay, this is a point we have to understand. Here there is nothing. Here we have employee, will create employee and will be assigning to the user in EBS also. And here how it works. See, here we discussed job role we have, for example, payables manager, and duty role we have equal to, here example is invoice creation, and data roles we have. Data roles means nothing but when you compare with EBS responsible plus primary ledger and operating net, but when you look at Fusion applications, that is payables manager plus primary ledger and business unit. Finally, this only will assign to user. This data role, simple point is, one second, let me complete, please don't mind. Okay, this data role we have to assign to, data role we assign to user. We have a seeded job role, and within that you can have many duty roles. One of the example is invoice. So against the job role, system will be assigning, will be mapping. This mapping will be done by system automatically. You don't need to do through manual process. In case of EBS, the primary ledger and operating it will be assigned to responsibility. The primary ledger and responsibility, primary ledger and operating net to particular responsibility by using the profile options. But in Fusion, the profile options are not at all required. Whenever you have a primary ledger and business units, that will get assigned automatically to the job roles. Okay, then finally the data role, whatever created by system, that we can assign to the user. The other point is data roles we can create as per our requirement. Custom data roles we can create. Custom data roles we can create. That's how we can do. The same way our own menus and sub menus, data roles, all we can create. However, you create custom menus in EBS. Okay, that's how it works. Now, if you have any questions, you can ask me. But see, one point here I want to make it clear. I'm not expecting you will understand 100% from this discussion. You have to see at least one time in the system. So then this discussion will be more fruitful and it will be more clear. Now my expectation is just I want to introduce this terminology and I'm trying to compare. But if you are getting okay, if you are not getting, you don't need to worry about it. We have an actual session where we'll be doing in the system. I'll show you where you can see job roles, duty roles, all those, how system will create, how we assign, everything we can see. Then that would be complete understanding as you are expecting. But for now, I'm just trying to introduce the terms and I'm comparing. That's what my target now. Yeah, tell me if you have any questions, please.
LAXMAN, this is Ashok. I have multiple questions, if you're okay.
Please.
Yeah, one is like in our EBS we had the MOVAC, right, which is like we can create one responsibility.
That also we have that. Yeah, next.
You have it?
Yes, we have it.
So which means like you can create one data role with which has access to multiple OUs.
No, simple.
Can we do that?
No, I'm telling. That's what I said. Yes, MOSC concept you have in Fusion.
You have it, okay. And then the second question is, SOX is very important, right? So in order to address SOX SODs, we create multiple responsibilities. Underneath that, we can create multiple custom menus. Can we do that in Fusion or is it restricted?
Yes, we should do that. That provision should be there. Otherwise, which client can use this application? Yes, that is possible.
Yeah, that is possible. Okay, good. Possible. Okay, and that's all. Those are the two main questions I had.
Okay, great, fine. Yeah. Possible. Both for both answers. My answer, both questions. My answer is yes. Possible. Next, any other question? Any question from other part? I think somebody was asking the question. I'm sorry. I just requested to wait for some time. So I was explaining something. Somebody was asking.
Yeah, can we go ahead and see how we create all this in the system?
Yeah, definitely. We should see that. Otherwise, it won't be called as learning. We'll do that.
Right.
Everything we'll do that. Everything.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, for sure. We should do that. I'll show you how to create the custom roles also. I'll show you how to create the custom roles. I'll show you how to create the custom data roles. Everything I'll take care of.
Lakshman Ashok again. One more
Yeah.
question. In the EBS side, we had in the responsibility, we also attached the reporting group, right?
Yeah.
So what is the concept?
Here also we have, but not separately. There is a logic. The reports and all can be mapped with the roles only. Based on the role, it will come automatically. If you, as per your requirement, you can update it. You can amend that.
So we can restrict which reports they can see and which they cannot see.
You can, but based on the role, by default, Oracle is giving. You don't need to do as a separate assignment how you do in EBS. When you are creating that, you'll be selecting the request group, right? Here, that option, that kind of approach we don't follow. If you assign the role called as payables manager means almost to complete privileges, right? All payables related role. I can hear my voice echoing. Okay, thanks. So the payables manager, what access required means payables manager role you are assigned to the user means complete access for payables. For payables, what are the reports Oracle is offering? All the reports the user by default they can get access because the role is relevant to that. So if you don't want to allow that user to access to the reports in the role level, we can go and do the modification. You can change it. You can create the custom role there. You can remove that access to reports. That's all we can manage. That is possible. Yeah. Fine. Any other questions?
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Fine. So that's all about roles to understand. Just I'll take you through sorry. So I'll show you the few roles what we have from Fusion applications. So when you talk about roles, just I'm taking a few slides here. See here. For general ledger, these are the seeded roles Oracle is providing. Hope everyone can see the screen. So for what Oracle is doing is for every application, say general ledger, for general ledger, what are the seeded roles Oracle is delivering? All they are tracking and maintaining in the templates. See here, you can see on the top the name, title, general ledger template for ledger. So for general ledger, what are the seeded roles Oracle is offering? All they are maintaining in the template. When you maintain the template, then only the roles can be converted to data role. That we'll see later. But now my target is just I want to give you the information which roles we have for general ledger. We have a roles called as financial analyst, controller, chief financial officer, general accountant, and general accounting manager. These are the 5 seeded roles Oracle is giving. If you need any role within this role, what privileges we have, we can go and see that. We'll go through that when we talk about custom roles definition. At the time I'll explain how to see and all. And apart from this, if you need some role where you need different privileges, yes, anytime you can create and you can add that new role into this template only. Here we have add. What are the custom roles you create, you have to add into this, and after adding what we have to do, everything will be discussing. This is the role template for simply this template we call as role template for general ledger. And the same way for each application we have. When you look at payables, for payables Oracle is providing 3 roles: accounts payable supervisor, accounts payable specialist, accounts payable manager. These 3 roles. Whenever you create the business unit, automatically system will create the data roles against these 3 job roles. These 3 you can call as job roles. If you create the primary business unit, system will be assigning the business unit to these 3 job roles. So the combination of job role and business unit you can call as data role. These job roles, against this job role, system will create the data roles with the moment you create the business unit, since these are payables which are specific to BU. The same way, just I have one more slide for receivables also. For receivables also, these are the different roles we have. Okay, this is all about roles to understand. If you have any question on this, please.
So, Lexman, for the consultant, what kind of role do you have?
What kind of?
For functional consultant, what kind of role that you give yourself?
Yeah, we have that will be discussing that we have in as a part of today's agenda only. I'll be talking about after these roles. I'm going to talk about the same. I'll give you that points. We have separate roles. I'm going to explain the same. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thanks. Any other questions on roles? Just don't think this is what we just have for information to discuss, but we'll come across many other points also. But in this stage, this is information I want to share with you to understand what exactly roles and all. Just the comparison. That's whatever I mentioned. Job role equal to menu, duty role is equal to submenu, and data role is equal to responsibility, primary ledger BU, and abstract role is always its employee or line manager, respective to HCM applications. Okay, seems to no question. Then we can just jump into next concept called as users. Okay, users in Fusion applications. We know in EBS how we'll be dealing. In EBS, what we'll do, we'll create the user. Okay, in sysadmin, right? Says system administrator. From system administrator, you can create the user. That's it. From sysadmin, we'll create the user. And that is the only place where we create user in EBS case. But in Fusion applications, the users can be created from two different applications. The first one is Oracle Identity Manager. From Oracle Identity Manager, we'll create the user, and we can create the user from Oracle Human Capital Management, HCM. From these two applications, we can create the users. The primarily this is the one which we will be using, but there is a purpose why we have to create a user from HCM. We'll discuss. In case of EBS, we create user from system administrator responsibility, but in Fusion, you have to create the user from Oracle Identity Manager. Generally, we call it as OIM. This we call as HCM. So if I ask you the question, which user you can create from system administrator, the answer definitely would be any user. Whatever the user you want to create, you can create the user. You will create the user. If required, assign the employee to user. Okay, or else without employing the user also you can use the user. That's how we will manage the users concept in sysadmin. Okay, any user you can create from system administrator in EBS. But when I talk about users in Fusion, okay, so if you are going to create the user from IDM, that user generally we call as implementation user. We call it as implementation user. If you create the user from HCM, that user can be called as employee user. Okay, if you create the user from IDM, that user can be called as implementation user. User which you create from HCM, you can call as employee user. Any user can have access to application. Now here, when you talk about our EBS, you'll create a user from system administrator, then we can assign the employee to user, right? There will be one field called as person. There you can select employee and you can assign. That's how we'll do that. But Fusion applications, if you create the user from IDM, okay, sir, say OM means Oracle Identity Manager, also the same you can call as IDM, Identity Manager simply. Okay, you can call as OAM, or let me write IDM. IDM means we are not considering Oracle, just Identity Manager, IDM. If you create user from IDM, that we call as implementation user. For implementation users, you cannot assign the employee association. In EBS, you can create user and you can assign the employee. But if you create the user from IDM, that user can be called as implementation user. You cannot assign employee to IDM user, means implementation user. But if you are going to create the user from HCM, okay, The HCM definition, what we'll do is, in HCM we'll be creating user by associating with the employee. That means the HCM user will have an association with the user, where implementation user cannot have association with the employee. Just user, implementation user means just user. This HCM user means employee plus user. This is what we have to understand. So when we are working on the application, first we have to create implementation user only. The reason is, if you want to create employee user first, to create the employee user, you require your legal entry ready in the system, and you require your business unit ready in the system. If your legal entry and business units are ready, that means your primary ledger and everything, all basic setups need to be completed. Then only you can create the employee user. But to create the implementation user, you don't require any prior definitions like your primary ledger, legal entity, operating. Straight away you can go and give the name, and you can give the password, and you can give the login credentials. That's how you can create. So very pretty simple how we create the user in EBS. So if you want to create employee user, you have to complete a basic configuration. Then you can associate those definitions with that user. That employee user is going to work for which business unit, that is under which registration, I mean to say legal entity. All those information we have to specify when we are working in the real-time project and all. First we have to start with the implementation user, then we'll create all the setups. Once all setups are ready, then we'll get into the employee user creation. So what is the difference between these two users? Why that we have to come? One point we discussed, you cannot assign employee to implementation user, but you can assign the employee to, you can have a mapping, employee mapping with the employee user. There is one point. If I have access to, if I say for example I have an implementation user, with the implementation user I can do all the implementation related activities if I have access to specific roles. Which roles are required, I'll talk about it. Let me talk about it. For implementation user, okay, for implementation user, what roles we have to assign? So if you create implementation user, primarily you have to assign two roles. One is application implementation consultant. This role we have to assign, and other role is IT security manager. Okay, for implementation users we have to assign application implementation consultant and do IT security manager. Basically these two roles we have to assign. Why we have to assign these two roles? As of now I'm going to give a very simple point. Once we get into the application, again I'll talk about it. By the time you will be in the position where you can understand whatever I'm going to speak. So for now, simple point is, so these roles we have to assign to complete the all system configuration. To do the system configuration, these roles are required. Primarily this role is not required for system configuration. To get some additional privileges, this role is required. Which privileges, that also will be discussing in further classes. Okay, if you are going to create implementation consultant, basically you have to assign these two roles. Along with that, it's recommended to assign the role called as employee role also. There is some reason. Implementation user cannot become employee. It's not at all employee. You cannot assign employee to implementation user, but still you have to assign the role called as employee. If you assign, what will happen? If you don't assign, what you cannot access, that will be discussing. But primarily understand, for implementation user we have to assign, or say implementation user, or you may call it as implementation consultant. Implementation user or implementation consultant, these two roles we have to assign. Then we can start with the system configuration. Okay, say for example I created employee user. Okay, employee user I created called as ABC. I can assign these two roles to employee user also. So employee user will start acting as implementation consultant. So whatever the privileges employee user, implementation user or implementation consultant has, all the privileges this employee user also will have. But finally, ultimately, when you look at the process, what is the difference? Say for example I created one implementation consultant, one implementation user, other one is employee user. For these two users I assign the roles called as application implementation consultant, IT security manager. The both users will be able to perform the same task, the same privileges they'll be getting. But when you talk about process, take simple example. So implementation user, okay, can do all the setups except supplier sites definition. It means, of course, for that also you have to give the roles. The relevant roles, say for example supplier creation related relevant roles we assign to implementation user as well as employee user. For both users we assigned supplier privileges related roles. We assign the role which will give the access to supplier definition. For 2 users we given. Even we given the access to 2 users, only implementation user can complete the up to supplier definition. Supplier site cannot be created by implementation user since the user is created from IDM. But employee user can create supplier sites, okay, and rest of any setup. For employee user there won't be any restriction. In case of implementation user there are no many restrictions. Primarily speaking, finance point of view, sub implementation user cannot create supplier sites, rest all can be done by implementation user, but employee user can create everything by following the given privileges. So that is a simple difference we have to understand. Okay, so these are the basic roles we have to assign to the user, then you can start working with the application. Okay, this is all about it, and if you have any questions you can ask me. And tomorrow session I'll talk about more detail level. I'll show you in the system how to create the user, how to create the project, or many things will from tomorrow we'll just get into the actual system related points also. There will, before that I'll explain you how, because if you want to create the, if you want to start doing the system configuration, the fusion, you have to create implementation project. If you want to create implementation project, you have to select the offerings, options. There are many other points which you have to understand. That detail level we'll discuss tomorrow, then we'll get into the actual discussion. Okay, so that's all about it. I think in the last session I didn't talk about enterprise fusion and architecture. If that is true, then I'll be covering that also. Tomorrow we'll talk about what is the enterprise fusion and architecture we have. That we'll talk about. Then we'll talk about what is the functional setup manager. After completing that discussion, hardly that may require 30 minutes to discuss that. After that we'll get into the application. We'll see how to create the implementation user, then we'll get into the definition of implementation project creation. This is what we'll be covering in the tomorrow session. Any questions on these users, fusion application users? Any questions on this?
This is Ashok again. Just a quick question. If you don't have a full-fledged human capital and you have a shared HR,
not required.
You can still create that.
Yes. You may just take the license for only financials. Still, some shared function is available. You can
shared HR will be there, and then you can still create the employee user from there, right?
Yes. At least you can create employees. Yes, possible.
Great. Thanks.
Yeah. Thanks. Any other questions?
So basically, LAXMAN.
Yeah, carry on, please.
So, HCM is like HRMS.
Yeah, group of
applications.
Yes. HCM is nothing but HR, core HR, and payroll, and absence management, talent management, many other applications.
Where, in our role where we create persons like employees.
Correct. You're right.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. See here one point. When you say HCM, here employee user means there are two ways. Like we can create the employee user with more detailed information. We can create the employee user with a very basic information. In our case, we'll be going with a basic process, because if you want to create user employee with a very detailed information, you need you have to take the subscription of HCM. But whatever the definition will create, that just for our understanding, that would be more than enough. How to create the employee user, we have to understand. If you may have just access, may not have access to HCM, still you will be able to create, since they given that function as a shared service function. Even if you are going to implement a PPM, also you can have access. If you are going to implement only procurement, also you can get access to the task in the application environment. Any other questions?
This is more of like a very dumb question. Sorry for that.
No problem.
What happens to an application support? Yeah, what happens to an application support person? For example, he's an external consultant, and he's not an employee. Like, how does he get access to this? Just for example, payables. In R12 you can create without an employee attached to it. He may not have a workflow accesses, but still he can have access to the full responsibility.
Generally what happens is we may see in the test environment only. I am the consultant, I want to just do the complete configuration, I want to test it. Since that is a test environment, I can create myself as an employee. It's a simple definition. It's not, the record is not going to be as a core record as a part of HCM. It's going to be test environment. So in case of real environment, we never create ourselves as an employee, right? But test environment, you can do that. Okay, that's how you can do. Otherwise, in the production environment, if you want to do like that, you may take some others access, and that's how you can do it, since you cannot create yourself as a employee in the production environment. That's how we'll manage. In test environment, you can play anything, right? So generally, when you are doing the system configuration and all, initially we can have a user called as IDM user. Later, once our setups are ready, which are required to create implementation employee user, then we'll turn into employee user definition. We'll just create.
Okay. Now I've seen some certain places like just consultants like who have access to production primarily for support, like they don't have to take access.
Because being a consultant,
no issues.
Once once implementation is done, we are not going to help them to by creating the supplier sites, right? There'll be separate team from the client who will be managing the vendor master team and all. They'll take care of it. But in the test environment or development or any other instance other than production, yes, anytime we can create ourselves as an employee user and we can manage those kind of configurations also.
All right.
Yep.
Thanks.
Yeah, thanks. Any other question? If no question, just we can wind up the class for now. We can connect tomorrow. Tomorrow we'll be starting the session at sharp 9 o'clock. No doubt I'm not going to just wait for the joinings and all. Just we'll be starting sharp 9 because of most of the people joined on time. But we waited for a little bit more time for other joinees. But tomorrow it's not going to happen. I'll be starting at sharp 9. Who are interested, who are going to continue in this batch, they can get ready by 9 o'clock. Okay. If any question, please, or else we can wind up the class. Anyway, I'll be available 5 more minutes in this meeting, even no question. So if you have some questions within this 5 minutes, you can ask me, or else I'll be just ending this meeting within 5 minutes.
Yeah. Hey, LAXMAN, Ashok, whatever you are talking in this class, like example, the spreadsheet that you're using, right? That is recorded and that will be shared with us, right?
Yeah. Every session will record and will be sharing. If you need, I can share this spreadsheet also separately.
Okay. No, this whatever like you're sharing, if it is recorded meeting, yes. If we can use this, like that would be great.
Yeah, you'll get it. As everything is getting recorded now, I'll be sharing the same.
Okay.
And apart from the recorded video, if you need this spreadsheet also, I am ready to share. That's what I'm saying.
No. Yeah, we don't need the spreadsheet. Yeah, if it is like recorded, recording is available.
Sure. Yeah, we'll be sharing.
So, LAXMAN, the difference between the live training class and the self-paced training, what is the difference other than the interaction directly with you?
Yeah, course content wise there is no difference. Whatever I'm going to cover in the live classes, the same content remains same. Course content remains same. And if you are going to opt live class self-paced videos, those also we generated from this kind of live classes only. See, now whatever I'm recording now, that I can share with the guys who are looking for self-paced. Only the difference is in case of live classes, yes, you can ask question instantly, right? You can get answer immediate base. But in case of live, that is not possible. But I'll be available to just answer to your queries when you go through that offline videos. And if you have any question, you can make a note and we can schedule the call and I'll be available for the discussion. That's how we can manage. That's how you can save your time instead of just scheduling and getting ready every day or every weekend for these classes. There won't be any big difference. Even in all the sessions, whatever I'm sharing as a self-paced videos, there are plenty of questions which are asked by participants. So other one, what I have, like in that batch, I have 30 plus members. 30 plus members I have. You can expect how many questions they might have asked and all. There are many questions and all are answered. That's how we have those self-paced videos. And one more point, you can just, if you are interested for self-paced videos, yes, you can buy the self-paced videos from us and you can go through it. Really, if you think you have to attend live class also, we will allow you. Again, there is no restriction. We don't charge anything extra. And in future, any batch you can attend for live classes also. But if you go through the self-paced videos, that's more than enough. Generally, I didn't see somebody who taken self-paced videos. Again, they attended for live classes because there won't be any difference. Just you can find good information, self-paced videos. If 1 or 2 points, if you don't understand, okay, whatever you are expecting, whatever I was explaining, the reality, if you're not thinking somewhere or some additional information required, I'll be available for the discussion. That's how it works. Course content remains same.
Okay. And also, how long do I have access to all the recordings?
Permanent. I'll be sharing the videos which you can download and you can keep with you permanently.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Lakshman, one question is there for the same, that self-paced video, like in class we are asking question to you straightforward, but in self-paced video there is no option, I think.
That's what we are discussing, right? Self-paced, no. But when you are playing the videos, you can make a note. If you have some question, say you are just playing 4-5 videos, make a note, and we can you can let me know, Lakshman, I have some queries based on the videos which I gone through. Then I'll be available. Just we can have a phone conversation. We can do it. Or else, the point is very simple. You can email me. I'll reply to that.
That means whatever you are teaching in this class, the same available with your self-paced video.
Yeah, as it is.
Okay, so if we want to go for that, so there is no issue for that.
No issue, the same. If you are going to attend, see, in this class, if you are going to ask some questions, that may make some difference. If you are not asking these classes you are attending, that's all. Both are same.
Okay, how much time I can, maybe this class is only 2 hours, or same videos are for 2 hours. So I can go ahead for 4-hour training a day, if I have patience for that.
Your wish. 10 hours you can play those videos, or else you may not play in one day. That's up to you, but that's your available time. Depending on that will get decided. Right?
No, I'm not going to play it on.
No. Just the flexibility and the possibility.
Yeah, Lakshman, we have less time because your schedule is almost, I think, 8 weeks.
Okay.
Am I right?
Yes.
Your schedule is, I think, 8 weeks. I think I'm not wrong.
Yeah, it goes more than 2 months for sure, because we have to cover complete course and content. If you people are flexible, I can spend more time, more than 2 hours. I can take the class and I can do it.
So no, basically what happens, I have only 1 month to complete.
Fine. See, so I think, if you don't mind, these points we can discuss offline, because now 11 o'clock I have another batch. I have to rush to that.
Okay. No issue, Lakshman. But how I can contact?
You just I'll share my number here. I'm just typing here. My direct number is 8106068686. I just pinged in the chat window. You can find in the chat window. So
just put into the message box and I'll note it down.
That's what I did. That the message box only, you can see that. I'm just repeating. It's 8106068686. Okay. Since there is no further questions from any participants, I'm going to wind up the class. Okay, thanks for joining the session. Okay, see you tomorrow if you're interested to continue. Thank you.